and welcome to another episode of Influence and Growth Mastery podcast. Today, I have with me Daryn Lawson. This is Daryn's second time to be on my podcast. So welcome back, Daryn. I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. Daryn is with Royalty Logistics, and he is the COO. And they are a Michigan-based, women-owned small business that does big things in the automotive logistics. And the last time I had Daryn on, Daryn was a sales trainer, and Daryn is still in sales. But today we're going to talk about networking and building relationships. And I just love Daryn, and I love having conversations with him because he and I share a lot of the same thoughts and ideas around networking. And so, Daryn, again, welcome. I'm so happy to have you on today.
Thanks, Tonya. This is fun being the second time here, and a little different role, but still in sales and still managing, sales and teaching sales and networking. And it really is all about relationships that we'll get into because new industry, and it just happened to be a great fit for me to leave the sales coaching realm and come over and help run this company and try to help grow it to where we want it to go. But it really is about relationships when we get down into looking at the accounts we have. And one of my initial thoughts, maybe this will set the talk up a little bit with our networking and sales, is my dad worked for Ford for 36 years. And I was around the car industry here in Detroit, but I wasn't in the car industry. I don't really know that much about it. And then I was thinking, well, what value could I add to Royalty, besides a sales background? And then I was thinking I do know some auto dealers, and I know some people that, were in the auto industry. And let me think, maybe I can connect some of my network and as I got into it, person after person, it's a bigger account, it's a bigger account, it's a bigger account. And then I was like, I guess I was kind of in the auto industry because I had some of those relationships that were starting to work now that will really help us grow.
That's kind of amazing because that goes back to, when I first started my business is I was connecting, bank to vendor and banker to bank. And so really, a lot of what we do has to start with a relationship. And when you think about it, when you think about your relationships, we really do have a network of people that we've built relationships with. And the more that you build relationships, the bigger and the deeper that your network gets. And so just like you saying, growing up with your dad, how could you not be in the automotive industry, growing up around that? And, when you think about networking, it really is more, in my opinion, than just exchanging contact details. It's more than exchanging a business card with people. Because when you think about just exchanging a business card, what do we do with those business cards? We take them home, we lay them on the bar or whatever, and they just sit there. And if we don't really follow up with those individuals, then that's really not a relationship because you've not done anything with that. But if you take those next steps and you enter that into your spreadsheet, your CRM or whatever, or you actually talk to that individual about what? Their family. What do they do? You ask them, various questions and start getting to know that individual personally, professionally. That's when you start building, a relationship and start nurturing that. And I'm sure that is how you and watching your dad started building relationships. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's definitely all about the nurturing and the follow up, and that's really where, you know, I think sales, from my background and my years in business, that most salespeople go wrong because they're not willing to put themselves out there and be vulnerable and create the relationships and make the phone call. And when I was a Sandler, we used to call it a nurturing call. You have to have those. Just check in. How you doing? I met you at this. Are you still, doing this business? Are you still looking to, whatever you found out about that person, because it's always about them, and just letting them talk and be themselves and trying to help. And then if they do need connections, trying to connect them to the right people within your network. And just because you have it. You're not looking for anything out of it. It's just because you're a good person, and that's what networking and connecting is about, and seeing where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the sales, growth, influence, networking, most people do not work their network.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say that right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be able to connect and have people in your mind. And I know when you and I've connected, I don't even know how long, over a year ago, maybe a little over.
It's been about a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm. I know we've had a couple conversations, and we have a lot of couple different networks, LinkedIn, Alignable, and
Mm-hmm.
we've had some good conversations, and all that builds. And so here we are today, having another fun conversation. And
yes.
But yeah, the nurturing part of it, I think, is what's hard for most salespeople, because the nurturing is not about selling, in the sense that most people think selling is telling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And definitely in my Sandler background is going to come out here, but it's about information gathering, and you want to be
Mm-hmm.
curious about the other person, because
Absolutely.
you never know when you're going to need them, or they can help you, or you can help them. And that's really what the networking is all about,
Mm-hmm.
and the connecting.
Well, and you probably thought, who in the world was I when I first reached out to you? Because, I reached out to you and was like, I want to know more about what you do. And typically when people start that way, you're like, oh gosh, here's another sales call,
Mm-hmm.
but I was reaching out, truly wanted to know more about what you did, because I think I even told you, without even knowing you, I wanted to try to send business your way. And you're probably like, what? Who is this person
Right.
who does not even know me wanting to send business my way? But when we connected, I
Right.
truly did.
Sure.
And so, you have to, if you had never given me that opportunity to share with you what my mission was or what I wanted,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be sitting here today.
Right.
But, it was just merely a part of my business that I didn't want to do anymore. So I was, actively looking for someone to help me take on a piece of business that I didn't want to do. So I was looking
Mm-hmm.
to share. And so today, a lot of building community, which I talk about a lot. And I just recently started a community. In fact, I
Mm-hmm.
launched it on this past Friday. And so I talk a lot about community and building partnerships and collaborative partners. And there's a difference between those two.
Mm-hmm.
But in reaching out to you, that was somewhat, what I wanted in you, even though I didn't know you.
Right.
But I saw enough of your background and heard enough about your company that I thought, I think this guy would be, someone that I need to meet
Yeah.
and build a relationship with. So, even that, you can tell enough about somebody sometimes if they write a really good profile about themselves as to
Mm-hmm.
whether or not there's somebody that you want to meet, even if you've not seen them at an event,
Right.
whether it's a conference, an event, or a smart connect or something like that. You can tell whether somebody whether you think they might be trustworthy or have a personality that you might want to meet.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I felt in you even before I met you. And so, but sometimes you don't know whether to trust, somebody's profile or something like that. But yeah, I felt that in you. But yeah, so nurturing those relationships, that's just something you and I started after that first initial conversation. We just continued to reach out to each other. And here we are again, like you said, here we are again today. Yeah. And so, those conversations have to continue.
Yeah. I think the initial reach out, I've actually, stolen your, first initial reach out to some of the players in the big players in the auto industry that you'll see on social media. And, they're shocked at first. They're like, well, who are you? Like, why are you reaching out to me? And then it's like, hey, thanks for reaching out. I wish more people would do this. Mm-hmm. Right. I bought a few books, because I really needed to know today in this new role what auto dealers are going through. How can I help them have a better business, a bigger business? How can I make their life and what they do on a daily basis easier? Mm-hmm. I don't know anything about a car dealership. I never worked in one. I bought quite a few cars. My dad was worked for a manufacturer, but I really don't know their business. So I bought this book and I connected with the author on LinkedIn. I said, "Would you be up for a quick phone call?" He's like, "Yeah, I have some windshield time." And what turned out to be about 15 minutes, he gave me like 45 because he really wanted to share. Mm-hmm. And normally I'm a pretty stickler for that time, but he was happy to go on, and he really wanted to share his insights. And then another lady that is a big consultant in the auto industry, I reached out to her, and she's like, "Well, who are you? Like, why are you calling me?" And then I explained, and well, she's at we're in Southfield, Michigan. I think she was from Ann Arbor, Michigan, but now she lives somewhere south and has a pretty big consulting group for dealerships. And we talked for a little bit, and it was just interesting to get her take because she's out there on a day-to-day basis inside the auto dealer. And I'm, on the outside moving their cars when they need to move cars or fill their lots right now. But I still needed that industry knowledge, and I just, it's just okay to reach out and a few free minutes, and who knows, down the road I'm going to probably help them. Now the author that I bought his book, he's written about 6 books, and I've bought 5 of the 6 so far. So I'm helping him. So that's how it goes, right? Just good information. And, but I think you really have to take that first step. And if you think you need to call and reach out to somebody, do it. If you have a business card that you pick up and you think, who is this person? I should probably call him. Just call him. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you think about it, you should just do it.
I have learned, and I learned this back in banking, when I first thought about leaving, mm-hmm. I found a bank that I found a group of guys who bought a bank, and they were trying to grow it like we grew our company. Mm-hmm. And I went to my boss whenever we thought about leaving. And I said to my boss, I'm thinking about applying for a job there. Do you think it would be strange if I called? I think I said stupid. Do you think it would be stupid if I called this one particular gentleman and said, I see, I read your article on what you guys are trying to do, and I don't know if you've hired all of your team, but you really need me. I've done what you're trying to do, and you really need me. And he said, I don't think it's stupid at all. I think you're right. I think they need you because you've helped do it here, and you could really help them. And so I said, I'm going to do it. And I was scared out of my shoes to do it. But I thought, what do I have to lose? All they could do is tell me no.
Right. Exactly.
And so that was a game changer for me when I did that, because I thought, I don't know these people. I mean, and in my head, I'm thinking, these are big influencers, these are
Yeah.
big people. And so when I did it and they agreed, now it took me 3 calls, 3 touches to actually get through to them. But when I did, and they had lunch with me, and they were like, we have hired all of our staff, but we need to find a place for you.
Yeah,
And
there
then
you
they
go.
were like, what do you suggest? What position can we hire you for?
Yeah.
And we started strategizing, and I basically created my own job there, created my own title and everything. And when I saw that happen, Daryn, it changed my mindset. And I thought right then, never be afraid to reach out to somebody and ask for something.
Exactly.
And that has led me to reaching out, just like what you're talking about. I have reached out to authors. I've reached out to influencers that have created technology. I've had social media influencers on my podcast, and today we are great friends.
Yeah.
I have had influencers that have created softwares, and I have met a lot of people by just doing that, by not being afraid to send a LinkedIn message, send an email message, go to their website and hit contact us and say, this message is for, and send it. And even on Alignable, you will be amazed at who is on Alignable. I can't say on this podcast, I'll tell you when we disconnect. Sure. But I can't say on this podcast an opportunity that I just got last week. It will blow people's mind. When I told my husband, he was like, somebody like that is on Alignable. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable the opportunities that you can get. Number one, by showing up. Number one, building relationships. Number two, by reaching out.
Yeah, for sure. And
it's amazing.
And, with events, trade shows, meetings, lunches, you really need to say yes to a lot of those things. For me, how I got to this position, I didn't, there was no posting. I didn't give a resume, nothing like that. But I got invited through a friend of mine to play golf. And I didn't know who I was playing golf with. And obviously, if you look at my profile and I'm a golfer, retired PGA professional. So I was like, yeah, I'll go play. And it doesn't matter who I play with, where we play. And so we went and played. And I met Rachel Blatt, who's the owner of our company. And we just got along and we started talking really about sales training. And through playing golf and out on the golf course. And then we had a little conversation afterwards, and about probably 3.5, 4 weeks of conversations after to see if the sales training would work for her company. But then we found out that they run on the EOS system also. Are you familiar with that?
I've heard of it.
System.
Yeah.
EOS. Yeah. So Rachel invested in that, runs off that. I know that system inside and out. Wow. So my sales and my background, and then through all of that, through the conversation, if you listen enough and you ask enough questions, she said it a couple of times. She says, when are you going to join me? Right? A couple of times. When are you going to join me? And then I, took that as, well, I need now to figure out if she really meant that or if she was just, thinking. And she goes, I've been looking for a COO for a long time that could just run my company, help me run it. So wow. I still have a lot to learn. I'm young, a couple months into it, but it was a good opportunity, and we get along. And she's in the EOS world, the visionary, and I'm the integrator. I like to have things done sequentially, and whatever her vision is, I can make it happen. And then also help the sales side of it. So it was kind of a perfect world. But if I had said, nah, I don't really want to go play golf, I would never be doing what I'm
Wow.
doing now. So in the networking world, even, Alignable or LinkedIn and, through the pandemic, everyone was networking on Zoom and there's still a lot
Mm-hmm.
of those. Webinars are tougher because you don't really get the interaction. So people sign up for a lot of webinars, but they don't really attend. But if it's an
Mm-hmm.
interactive Zoom meeting, networking event, or where you can actually have some conversations and connect, you really need to say yes and start doing some of those things,
Mm-hmm.
and because you never know where the opportunity is not going to, like you said, the opportunity you would have never known had you not really gotten involved with the Alignable and I forget what your title is, but you run kind of a region or something, right?
An alliance ambassador.
Alliance,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so
Mm-hmm.
saying yes to those things can bring out a lot of different connections that you never thought were possible. And the sales professional, sales or any business owner, really anyone, there's lots of those opportunities, but they for some reason they're just not open to them, or they're
Mm-hmm.
not willing to say yes and go and do those things. And for some introverts like me, it's a learned skill.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to learn to put myself out there and go out and meet people and go to networking events and spend time on Alignable, spend time on LinkedIn. And it's not my preference on a daily basis to do that. So I have to kind of force myself to do it. But at the end of the day, I'm still okay. I
Right.
haven't lost a limb or, haven't died or anything like that. So it's
Right.
all good. But networking and LinkedIn, being nurturing and setting up, I wanted to come back to this. You said, setting up that initial trust factor. You really never know when you're reaching out if the trust factor will be there. But if
Mm-hmm.
you set up the meeting correctly, and the conversation and just get an agreement, the time, the agenda, how long you're going to talk about what you're going to talk about and see where it goes. You set that up at the beginning. I think most people would be okay with trying to see if it goes somewhere. And if not, then, hey, thanks for reaching out. But you really have to go out there and do that,
Mm-hmm.
and set it up. And that's how you'll build that initial quick trust. And it doesn't mean that you have to do business, right?
Right.
It's not always about doing business. We need to, as we get older, I might have said it on the first podcast, but I can't remember. But, you know, uh, at my age, someone told me a few years ago, they said, well, you're going to have to replace a lot of your friends.
Mm.
And, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what does that mean? And it's just natural. They move to Florida, they move to Arizona, they're out of business, they pass away, whatever. And it's starting to hit me like I do have to get different friends. I need to reach out. I need to go do different activities. I need to learn different things. And the networking is really the same for
Mm-hmm.
business. You have to go out and go to different conferences, different industries, talk to different people, and really be nurturing and find out about, what's out there, because it's not the person you're talking to that may give you that opportunity, but it might be two or three deep in your network.
Mm-hmm.
So I need Tonya's friends that are in the auto industry. You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
But that's really how it happens. And networking is not easy. You have to work it. It's like we talked about.
Yeah.
You have to follow up. You
Mm-hmm.
have to have a plan. You have to keep track of, when you're talking to them and set up next steps. And some people you'll click with and some people you won't, and that's okay.
Right.
And then others you'll say, I really need to, I like what they said, or I like what they're posting, I like their video, and you might as well reach out to them because that's why they're doing it.
Mm-hmm. And there's going to be times where things fall through the cracks. It
Mm-hmm.
happens. And people may follow back up with you and say, hey, what happened? I thought we clicked really well. I'm saying that from experience. I had that happen to me not too long ago.
Yeah.
I told somebody I would do something and I dropped the ball on that. And you just apologize and make up for it. You just pick back up.
Yeah.
I was thankful. I was so thankful that the person did reach back out and say, hey, what happened?
Yeah.
Did I do something wrong? And I'm like, Lord, no, you didn't do anything wrong. I'm the one that did something wrong. I dropped the ball. I covered up my note and I hadn't uncovered it. It got lost in the shuffle on my desk. Yeah. And no, it was 100% my fault, and apologized. And actually I was supposed to schedule a podcast with them, and like a month went by and he hadn't heard from me. And so I got that scheduled and everything was great. He has sent me 2 referrals since. And no, it was definitely my fault, but you just have to apologize and hope that they do reach back out and not hold that against you thinking, oh, well, she doesn't follow up, because that's where that trust factor does come in. Because it could have gone the opposite way and could have held that against me. And I'm so thankful that he didn't, and gave me another opportunity to make that up. Yeah. But yeah, when you're talking about meeting these people for that first time, if you're an introvert and you don't know what to say, I think the main thing that you can do is just ask, what can I do to help you? Is there anything that I offer, in my product mix or whatever to help you? Or another thing that I've seen people do, and even I've done, is there any connection that I have in my network that I can introduce you to? Yeah. And oftentimes when I lead with that, if I don't know how to help somebody, that always breaks the ice. Yeah. And then, you can feel much more comfortable then having a conversation, because when they come back and say, well, I do know you're connected to so-and-so, and if you wouldn't mind doing a warm introduction to them, that always then makes you feel like, oh, I've just helped somebody, and you feel good about that. And then you can, lead into other discussions because you now feel like you've helped them. And again, it just breaks the ice. So it makes you feel much more comfortable and much more confident in the conversation.
Yeah, I think that's, to add to that, the comfort and the nurturing to give to somebody. The initial fear that people are going to have is, well, I don't really know you. How am I going to give you my friends? And it's not about that. If you have good people that you're surrounding yourself with and you're networking, they're probably good for somebody that's reached out to you and you're having a conversation with. And that's really the purpose of that connection. Doesn't mean that they're going to do business, but they're going to have a conversation, see where it goes, and you might help them, you might not. But then again, between those two people, they might have connections that they need or somebody else needs in their network, that you've provided an opportunity to have that conversation and that next step in their life, business life or personal life, whatever that may be. And the key there is, not feeling that anyone has to do any business. If it's you have to do business with them or they have to buy something from you, that's where networking breaks down.
I agree.
So,
because I think at that point, Daryn, you're looking for a transactional relationship versus a true relationship.
Yeah.
Don't go to the networking session thinking transactional.
Right.
Because you're going to walk away disappointed.
Yeah, you'll laugh at my memory here. So, in things falling through the cracks, right? I'm a real proponent of using your calendar. So the minute you need to do something, schedule it with that person. It's right in your phone. Just say, hey, I'll follow up on Friday. And are you going to be able to take my call, or should I text you, or should I send you an email Friday? And put it in your calendar right there so you don't forget. And I know things fall through the cracks, but it's an easy way when you're out networking and at events to make sure you're following up even before you get the business card on your desk and not follow up, right? It's already in your calendar to follow up. So you've taken care of a lot of it. But even after that, the ability to do that is really showing the proactive in that relationship. And I know one of our earlier conversations, and I want to say it was 6 months ago, maybe 4. But you were going to do a convention, and we were trying to schedule something else, and you were actually working for a company. Do you remember this? I don't know if you were in Arizona or Texas. You were away for 3 days. It might have been, if I remember right, maybe on your anniversary or a birthday or something. And you said, I'm going to be here. I really need to talk to you. We really need to schedule this next conversation. Call me at like 11 o'clock and I'll answer it. Do you remember this? And sure enough, I called you right at that time, and you're like, "Hey, I'm in the event room, or the whatever you call it, the convention center. Let me step away for 10 minutes, and I'll call you right back." And then, we had our conversation. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Forget where you were at, but
yes,
but that came to, but that was scheduled. It was like a scheduled conversation, which took the pressure off of things falling through the cracks.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. I don't remember where I was, but I do remember that.
Yeah, it might have been on your birthday, actually, because I think I said happy birthday when you first answered the phone.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
I was working. Or
yeah, I want to say I was in Hot Springs, but I can't really remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the location, but you remember that conversation and
I do remember it. Yes,
yeah, and I think that's part of knowing why you're networking and what you're going to be networking about, so that you connect at the right times, and you don't get that stigma of, hey, they're not going to show up, they're not going to follow up. Why are they blowing me off? And sometimes things happen, but in real networking, and if you're working, you're networking and trying to grow yourself and your business, when it's scheduled, I'm probably not going to skip out on you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just think, that is so important. Trust to me and integrity to me is so important about my brand. It is so important about my brand. You violate the integrity thing, and I'm very forgiving when things just fall through the cracks. I'm very forgiving for that. But when it comes to the integrity violation, I'm almost done. I mean, if it's something that violates integrity, I'm pretty much done with the business. That's just almost something I can't get over. If it negatively impacts my brand, I can't associate with the company or the person or whatever if it's going to reflect back on my brand.
Yeah,
totally. I'm like, no, I can't do business with them.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. And that's, the first qualifier, right? They're just done. It's not meant to be.
Right. Regardless how much money I've spent or
exactly
with the company or whatever, if it's going to negatively impact me personally, my brand, whatever, I have to I have to draw the line.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's really important to know, because when you are out networking or you're out reaching out, you can get a feel for where they're going to take the relationship, right? And come back to our nurturing statement. And if you get along and you're laughing and, you're maybe not always laughing, but the conversation's moving, the relationship's moving. You're sharing information, they're sharing information, and that's going forward. The negative things probably won't happen. They just won't. Can't be doing both.
Right.
You can't be nurturing and have those negative integrity things happen.
Right.
So that in itself, I think could take care of that for the people that need to, get past some of the fears of having these conversations out there and really growing and influencing their network, right? And that's really what you're trying to do is you want to, influence and be nurturing enough that you're going to help everyone grow. Did I say that backwards?
No.
They grow and influence first. No.
Well, both. I mean, you want to grow and have influence. Both of them.
I was joking.
Well, let's talk about how growing relationships, a little bit about growth and influence. Let's talk about how growing relationships can help you become visible, and help grow in your influence. Because, this is another thing that I've learned is that I always say this, Daryn. Everybody is one relationship. I may have even said this on our last podcast because I say this a lot, but everybody is one relationship away from the next person who might bring them in their next $100,000 deal, their next $500,000 deal, their next $1 million deal. One relationship.
For sure.
And so even with that, that one relationship can help take your visibility to the next level, take your influence to the next level.
For sure.
And I think people don't understand the magnitude of that. And when you really understand the magnitude of that, I think it should make the desire of people wanting to get out and create more relationships, go to more events, make more calls. Now, I'm guilty of telling people on LinkedIn. In fact, yesterday I sat here probably for an hour to all of those. Do you want to make $30,000 a month by getting my lead generation, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't do that. I build my business on relationships.
Right.
And oftentimes I get back, well, how's that working for you? And I'm like, well, actually it works really well for me.
Right.
And I want to say, how's your gig working for you? But I don't, because I'm much more professional than that. But we really are. This is proven to be true for me. And so I'm all the time saying, you're just one relationship, one networking person away from, visibility, influence, your next big paycheck. One relationship that could be in this meeting that you're in. It could be in this Smart Connect. It could be the next car dealer person that you talk to. You don't know. So don't let that keep you from talking to people. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's what we've been talking about this whole time. And I think that's really what it's about is you still have to say yes, right?
Yes.
To make that phone call, to send the email, to send the text, to go out and meet somebody, to ask for, a connection, right, to somebody else that's not in your network. They might be connected to attend an online networking event, to ask to be on people's podcasts, right? If you're listening to someone's podcast and you want to, be on their podcast, just ask them.
Easter egg hunt.
Yeah. I mean, the worst, like we both said it, the worst that can happen is say no, right?
No.
And that's okay. But the building of that relationship, where you're only one away and, in sales, if you think about your accounts or your account management, your companies that you're working with, You never know who their customers are, right? Well, you should know some of their customers and some of their influencers, because they all have to buy products and services from a lot of people that could probably be using your products and services, right? So you're already talking with a lot of people that could probably be building your business if you just had the conversations to do that. And in account management, especially in the bigger companies, the Fortune, thousands, 500s, 200s, whatever list you're going off of, there's multiple levels in that company and influencers and decision makers. And if you can get a couple of them, that might set you up to the whole company, which is that huge one company, big deal, set your company on a growth where, if you want to eventually get an IPO, it probably will send you there, right? If that's what you want. But you have to be able to build the different people in that company, relationships with the different people. And I think when I started the podcast, I said, my people in the auto industry and my sales background was going to help me. I figured that out. We ended up going to a conference down in Dearborn, Michigan, which is 18 minutes from here in Southfield. And I didn't really know anybody, but I just started talking to some people, and we really got introduced probably to the largest global shipper in the whole world.
Oh, wow.
And we think we move cars, but they said they move like hundreds of thousands of cars for one company. And it's only one of their customers. So we're in some big talks for, trying to see where we can fit in just a little bit. But that would be huge. And that was that one relationship. And how it works is I actually just random. I didn't know who was there, but I started talking to the global director, who happened to be headquartered in Denmark. And he introduced me to his lead for North America, talked to her. And then she introduced me to her employee that takes care of the United States. And then someone that kind of works on the perimeter of those three was sitting at a table behind me. And then he introduced me to her. And so those are the relationships that if I wouldn't have had, the guts to introduce myself and start talking to this guy, and I had really no idea who he was. I couldn't see his name badge or wasn't really paying. I just introduced myself and we started talking, and that's that one relationship that, we had a lot of work to do on it, but it could be the game changer for this company for the,
wow,
till we go public and sell off or whatever we're going to do. But,
wow. Amazing.
But that's the power of thinking about your network and who you're meeting and who you're talking to and following up. And since then, like 3 weeks ago, we've had 3 meetings. So that's the follow-up. But you have to, ask to be on their calendar. Went out to lunch with 2 of them, get a little more away time from the office and phones. And so how you plan to have the meetings after those initial conversations and meetups is really important too. So you have to have a plan. You just have to think about, how you're going to develop that relationship and then just start to do it.
When you said that, it makes me think of a digital marketer that I follow, and she talks about social media post, and she says, the magic is not in the post. The magic is around what you do around the post. That's important. That actually brings, the people to you. And so that's really what you're talking about, is the magic is all around the strategy, around what you're trying to do. You've got to have a plan. You got to have a plan. And so visibility and influence may not be immediate, but in credibility, it takes time.
For sure.
But profitability comes after you genuinely and authentically create trust.
For sure.
And once you do that, magic happens.
For sure.
And so it's, you've got to build that relationship first, nurture it, just like you've talked about this entire podcast.
Yeah.
It has to be watered. It has to be nurtured, and, stay after it. If it's something that you truly believe is going to come to fruition, stay after it, water it, take care of it, build that trust, and then the magic will happen. But you can't go after it on the first date. It's not going to happen.
No, yeah, it takes a while, and then after that, it can happen really quick, and things can happen depending on, what you're looking to have happen. Might start small, and then, a couple small business deals might not even be that, might be a couple introductions to a couple businesses. And then you get to that one business, and it makes your whole business, right? Third, fourth business introduction or event. So you never know. But if you're not networking, and not reaching out and not nurturing those relationships and new people, and trying to grow those and be an influencer for them and to them, right? You're going to make your business a lot harder than it needs to be, because that's how business gets done. It's not all the technology, and this is great because, I'm in Michigan and you're where, Arkansas?
In Arkansas.
Yeah, Arkansas. And we can have this great conversation and laugh and build relationships and get to know a little bit more about each other. And then we save all our travel. But it really is the thing that makes the business, the nice Riverside technology, our computers. That's all nice. That's making this happen, right? Wouldn't go without it anymore. But it's not going to make our business. Our business is going to be between you and me, right? And that's the relationship. And I think that's where most people struggle in their businesses, because they just don't see. And maybe some have a negative stigma of networking because it doesn't work, which really means I don't know how to network. I don't know how to build a relationship. I've never really reached out to anybody that I've met at the Chambers or Alignable or LinkedIn or at a dinner, BNI or wherever it is. And those are all great things to be part of, but you have to work them. Just like you have to work your business. And when you're doing that, and you have the real goal is just to be as nurturing as you can for that other person, and see where it goes. You got to get on the same wavelength as them, understand what they're looking for in their business. And again, it might not be business; it might be something personal that you're going to help them out with, maybe for their house or their auto or their activities or their kids or their other family members. And that's just being part of a good person, and the reason why you would network and want to build relationships.
I love how you said that. You wrapped it all up in a nice little package. And it makes me think about, I always look at my network. And again, I've used the word community so much because I look at my network as my community. I think of them as my extended family, because I get on the level of I build such a relationship with them and some of them I talk so often, they become my new friends. And especially those that I've met on Alignable. I met on Alignable.
Yep.
I think of these people as my extended family, because, I bring them onto the podcast. I add them to my social networks, and then we start interacting there. Yeah. And it seems like they become my extended family, and, sending them referrals. And so when you're sending people business, and you're interacting that often, it feels like family.
Yeah, for sure.
So I love that. So Daryn, this has been a phenomenal conversation. I could talk about networking and building relationships day and night,
Sure.
Because obviously I've built that into my business model.
Yeah.
Tell us now that you
Sure.
have changed companies. I don't know whether any of your contact information has changed, but tell us again, and we'll put it in the show notes, but where can individuals reach out to you to connect?
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Alignable. So Daryn Lawson. And my phone number, it's out there in the world. So this is nothing that is going to shock anybody. It's on LinkedIn. I post it everywhere. And it's amazing how little phone calls I get. Even though I put my phone number everywhere. Even spam calls, I don't really get a whole lot. So, but my phone number is...
You're lucky.
I know. My phone number is 248-935-8903. And you can shoot me an email at darynl@royaltyships.com.
Okay. We will put that in the show notes for you.
Awesome.
And
appreciate that.
Any last words of wisdom that you want to share?
Yeah, no, thanks, for having me on again. It's definitely, I feel privileged to be part of your community and a new friend. And we've had some great conversations, and,
Yes.
Anything I can do to help you or any of the people that, follow you and you talk to, I'm happy to do that. I make time for that to happen. Even if it's just, if it's guidance in sales or guidance in running a business. The EOS system, I'm connected to that community fairly well. It's for businesses 250 and under employees. So it's a great way to run a business. Sandler Sales Training System is a good one out there that I worked for 4 years. But really anything in business. I was a franchise owner at one point, helped build a large company there with Golf Tech. So I've done a lot of business building. I've been part of I think four global companies. So I have a huge background, and more than happy to talk and converse. And if I can help you, I can help you. If I can't, I have a lot of resources that can help. But again, it's get out there, network, reach out to somebody, make a phone call. Nurture.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not real estate. It's not about location. It's about nurture.
Mm-hmm. 100% agree. And so for those of you that are listening, he does have a lot of experience in the sales arena. So feel free to reach out to him. And if you've not already, hit the subscribe button on your favorite listening channel, do that. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe there. And we have finally launched our Influence and Growth Mastery community on Heartbeat. And if you would like to join, you can go to let me back up. You can go to influenceandgrowthmastery.com and sign up there to join us in that community to grow and scale your business. With that, I will see you for the next episode next week. Everyone have a great one. Bye.